You can customize Coincraft by going to Organization, then Settings. Here you'll see a bunch of options for controlling how the system acts, mostly in regards to time entry. To demonstrate how this works, I'm just going to go into Timesheets here, open up a new time entry, and we're going to select Sydney Opera House. And when we look at Sydney Opera House, we can see that a bunch of phases have different statuses. There's active phases, on hold phases, prospective, and archived phases. You also find a no phase option here if there's no particular phase you want to enter your time against. We'll also see that there's billable variation overtime flags for me to elect, so I can say this time entry is out of scope by clicking the variation flag. However, if you don't want your staff to have this level of control, you can change it. So we're going to go back into the settings here, and we can see the first setting is allow time to be logged without selecting a phase. So if I uncheck this, this will remove the no phase option and force the user to select a phase when they're entering time. There's also allow time to be logged against tasks, and that's basically going to remove tasks if you're not using tasks within Coincraft. Some of our users really like tasks, but for others, it's a little too much detail. We can also scroll down here and we can control the status of the phases that our users are allowed to log time against. So I'm going to say my staff aren't allowed to log time against archived phases, but they can record time against prospective and on hold phases. And lastly, there's the timesheet entry flags. So let's say my practice does time in lieu, in which case the overtime flag becomes irrelevant because we're not using the overtime rates. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that. And now when we go back into our timesheet entries, if I go to add a time entry against Sydney Opera House again, we can see that I can't add a time entry until I select a phase. We can also see that the archived phases are no longer there, so I'm going to select the active phase. We can also see that I can no longer flag a time entry as being overtime. I'm just going to go ahead and add an entry. And that's how you customize time entry in Coincraft.